Good morning, boys and girls. I'm coming to you here from my dining room and wishing you a happy Monday morning. Again, I wish we were all together, but I know we are all together in spirit. I wanted to reach out to you and remind you, if you need anything, you can call the school and I'll get back to you. We could talk on the phone. We could do a video conference like this if you need some encouragement. But I would just ask you to pray every day that we can be back together in person sooner rather than later. That would be a beautiful prayer for you to pray. I want to continue to teach you about our doctor of the church for the week. So let me once again share my screen with you. And this time I am going to use this whiteboard, if that's okay with you. And we are going to learn about Saint Francis de Sales. Saint Francis de Sales has quite a few little nicknames. You know how we've talked about some of the nicknames? Listen to these. The Gentleman Doctor, Patron of the Catholic Press. I like this one. He's also called Every Man's Spiritual Director. Okay, you could kind of pick one of those which you prefer. Let me give you his dates. He was born in 1567. He died in 1622. He lived in Geneva, Switzerland. He was French speaking, lived in Switzerland. Now, which era would we place him in if we look at the different eras of our school? I'm listening to what you're saying and I can hear you, and I bet you are saying the modern era. So our fourth graders do the modern year, and our eighth graders, they repeat the modern year as well. So some of you might be thinking the Renaissance, you know, the 1500s are the Renaissance as well. So that answer would work also. So as you know, then if you know we're in the modern year, you know we are responding to the Protestant Reformation. I used to know how to type, the Protestant Reformation. So he would be kind of what we would call a post-Reformation saint, okay? So because of everything I'm telling you, keep in mind, St. Francis de Sales is very modern in his techniques. We might not think the 1500s are modern, but they really are if you compare him to, let's say, a St. John Chrysostom from the 4th century, okay? Let me read you a line from him. This is what he says. I am a man and nothing if not a man. My heart has been broken in a way I could not have believed possible. These are St. Francis's words when he was a bishop at age 40 and his youngest sister had died. And the reason I read you those words is a lot of people love St. Francis de Sales because he's so human. We have so many of his letters and of his writings. We know that he lived and breathed like a real person. And that's why he really is such a popular saint. Now, let me just give you a little bit of background. He was a lawyer, so he was very well educated. He became a priest. He became a bishop. He rose high up in the ranks. There's a lot to tell you about, and I can't tell you everything. I thought one thing I would focus on is a friendship that he had. It's interesting to study a saint through friendship. I love to have lots of different friends. I'm sure you do as well. So it's interesting to look at it in that lens. He was very good friends with another saint, Saint Jane Frances de Chantal. She was a widow with, I think she had 4 kids or 6 kids. She had a lot of kids and they became friends, and she wanted help in being holy. And so he wrote letters to her about how you could be a saint in your everyday life. And boys and girls, this is perfect for you and I we're just living regular lives at home. None of us at this moment are, nuns or priests or bishops. We are lay people living in the world. And the works of this saint can show us how to do that. And so as they became friends and she asked him for more advice, he wrote her letters about how to be holy. These letters have come down to us in a book that I hope that you will read someday. Well, I tried to italicize, but I couldn't. Introduction to the Devout Life. This is a famous masterpiece in the Catholic world where he writes to this woman about practical things she could be to be holy. And I'm going to read to you is how he tells her how to avoid a mistake that we often make. Sometimes we try to be like somebody else. We try to imitate this saint or that saint, but your way of sanctity, my way of sanctity, is going to be completely unique. And so this is what he wrote. One should not be surprised that every plant and flower in a garden requires its own particular care. So he was well aware that what might make you a saint is going to be different than what might make me a saint, depending on our own strengths, weaknesses, and circumstances. So he will write about that. Let me tell you, this book has advice for everything. For example, how can you be a saint and choose friends? What types of recreations should you have? So that's something for us to think about now that you have more free time. What are things you can do in your leisure time that would advance your way of sanctity or that may be an obstacle? Those are things to think about. He wrote about how to pray, how to meditate, what virtues for what different ages. What should you do if you're sad? What if you've lost your peace? What if you have many temptations? He wrote about all of these different things in his letter to the saint. By the way, you might have heard of the particular order of nuns that she founded, and he helped her. They're called the Visitation nuns. It's the Visitation order. And he was very involved in helping her. And it was actually very difficult endeavor. They had a lot of obstacles for that as well. I also mentioned to you, he is the patron saint of the Catholic press because of his many writings and the way he reached out to all different kinds of people. He also, like all of these doctors of the church, was greatly devoted to Our Lady. He also was greatly devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and to the Blessed Sacrament. I thought I would close with some words that were written about him. These words actually come from his friend, Saint Jean de Chantal. And this is what she says about how he behaved when he was celebrating Mass. So obviously right now, you and I, we are denied the privilege of attending Mass. And I know that it's just going to increase our hunger for the Eucharist. And that's why the Lord's permitting this. So as we increase our hunger for the Eucharist, let's think about this saint and how he celebrated Mass. This is what she wrote. Indeed, the divine sacrament was his true life and strength. And in this action, he appeared like a man wholly absorbed in God. He said his Mass as if he was in a grave, gentle, even tone of voice, without the least hurry, however busy he might be. He told me many, many years ago that from the moment he turned to the altar, he had no distraction of any kind. May you and I try to find that focused gaze when we're praying and we're doing our work for the Lord. May we feel the intercession of Saint Francis de Sales. We say, Ora pro nobis. May all the saints strengthen us during this time. And please stay in touch and know that you are in my prayers. Please keep me in yours. God bless you.